The gentleman who is the head, the boss of the Louisiana State Department of Transportation and Development, Dr. Shawn Wilson, is here. Hey, Dr. Shawn, how are you this morning?
Good morning. How are y'all doing? I hope you all are nice and warm.
We are.
We're indoors, and that's pretty much where it ends. But evidently the Arctic blast
Inga
that knocked us back on our heels the last couple of days is inflicting the same chilly weather on other parts of the state. What's going on where you are, and what can you give us an update for South Louisiana?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I just posted to Twitter not so long ago that the road that is farthest south in Louisiana, LA1 down in Grand Isle, has ice on it. And so that just tells you how significant of an event we're dealing with here across the entire state. I can also tell you that over the course of last night, we've had hundreds of collisions and accidents, and we've had some major accidents where an 18-wheeler knocked out 25 feet of bridge rail. We've had multiple vehicle accidents, 18-wheelers jackknifing, and that's on top of having, get this, the molasses truck spill molasses all over the interstate yesterday.
What an easy cleanup job that will be.
Yeah.
It was a slow, sticky process. I can tell you.
Erin had mentioned that I-10 is closed from where to where? That was like about 50 miles worth or more.
We've got long segments of I-10 that have been closed, anywhere from Lafayette all the way down to Highland. Some of them are starting to open up, but we won't see that really happen in any mass form until later this afternoon. And what happens is ice forms on the up ramps and the down ramps on our interstate. And when that slick condition occurs, if you go up, naturally with rubber tires, you're going to slide right back down. Case in point, we've already had one fatality in New Orleans where a vehicle had an accident. An individual got out of that accident, as we've been reported to, and then another vehicle slid into the pedestrian, killing them, unfortunately, in a very unfortunate situation. I mean, I can't imagine that. And again, I would like to ask all of our listeners and all of your listeners to heed to the issue. If you do not have to drive, please don't. We have started to take out of our press releases as of yesterday wintry weather driving recommendations because we don't want you to drive. And it's a very serious situation out there when you have ice, particularly black ice, that you might not be able to see it.
What are you concerned for how long this is going to last, Doc?
So what we expect is that you will see temperatures get above 32 degrees sometime early after lunch, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Here's the problem. We're going to drop back down to 32 degrees or below by 5:30. What's going to happen is that ice will start to melt on the road, and if there isn't enough wind and if there's not traffic, and we don't want you to drive, but if there's nothing to force it to dry, that water will simply refreeze at 5:30, and we're going to be back to a situation right now. And in North Louisiana, fortunately, the good people of the North have had a much better experience this time. And we are actually removing some of the people or bringing some of the folks from North Louisiana down to South Louisiana to try and salt during that defrost time. So between that 1 and 5 time, we want to try and salt more roads so that they will not refreeze tonight when it gets to be 32. And what we've seen, believe it or not, is normally we would concentrate on our bridges because our roads don't normally freeze. The problems we're having is in this temperature, this low temperature that hadn't been this low, I think, since 77, and maybe even longer than that in some of the southern parts of the state. The roads are freezing, and that is the problem. And there's just no way for this department, with the 4,200 people we've got, or the resources we have to salt all 16,000 miles of roads and 12,000 bridges. Is just not possible. And so we lose those roads, and we try to encourage folks to stay off the roads. Visit 511la.org. You can call it. You can go online on your phone. But get this. We've had over 134,000 hits in the last reporting period, as opposed to 2,500 that we would normally get in that same reporting period on a normal basis. So people use that because it is ground central for information on closures in inclement conditions.
How's about I-49, say south of Alexandria, going down to Lafayette?
We've had a couple of closures, and again, typically on I-49, what we're seeing, in spite of having not a lot of moisture until yesterday, we did very, very well. But we had one closure in Alexandria, and then we've had some closures south of there, and it really creates a gridlock when you've got that main thoroughfare on I-10 and I-49, north, south, east, and west. And so we were putting people on 190 bridge. That began to close. And so as this is a cascading event, if you look at the Weather Channel and you see how the Arctic blast moves, it slowed down over Louisiana and it swung south and it's going across. And so you can look at the map, and if we did a time lapse of our map and our closures, you'll see as you go from Shreveport down to Plaquemines, you're going to see a cascading effect of road closures, interstates, U.S. highways, two-lane roads, and, of course, just about any type of elevated structure, because, as you know, with our wonderful signs that say bridge will freeze before roads, that is, in fact, what's happening.
Dr. Shawn, give us your website once again, because just in case some folks are at least going to try to travel down south today.
Sure. Well, one would ask them not to travel, but I would ask them to go to 511la.org. You can also dial 511 on your phone. You can visit it. We have a mobile version of it as well as the full Internet version. It's constantly updated where you can see a visual map that shows you a little icon that has some little ice sparkles with some red over it, and it'll tell you that that road is out. And just know that that is a spot on a closure. The closure could be longer than that. Mm-hmm. And so if you absolutely have to travel, plan ahead, call to make sure you can get to and from, and that you have to absolutely go where you're going. Because as these conditions change, if you try to go somewhere and 5 o'clock comes and it gets back to 32 degrees, there's a process that I might not have that road closure when you look at it, but 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, an hour later, that road could be closed that you're thinking you're going to have to go through. So take advantage of having that information at your fingertips.